But in these down periods, like, so the biggest thing you can switch about your gameplay here is like not wandering around like this, like hesitating on if you're gonna go fight or not. Like, just to make it easy for yourself, like in your future, like next 5 games you play or something like that, just say, okay, Doom's on cooldown, I'm not fighting. All right, guys, welcome back. This is week 14 of weekly coaching. We've got more offlane play to look at, so let's see what we got. So what's your MMR this week, dude?
We are at 26-25.
5. Okay, dropped a little bit. And so these Doom games I'm noticing. So you played 5 Doom games, right? Since last session?
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you want to, first off, which replay did you want to look at? Did you want to look at the Doom games, or you want to look at the Abaddon and the Void Spirit?
The only thing with the Doom games are like the most of them were from last week, so I don't remember them super well. I mean, we could if you think it would be like a better thing, since I've been playing Doom, to look at this last Doom loss. We could do that because that was today.
Okay.
But I kind of know some of the stupid mistakes I made in that game.
Okay. Yeah, let's look at it. Let's have a look at this one. So looks like you guys are getting pretty stomped. What do you think the mistakes were you were making?
So one of the biggest ones, I feel like my first Doom was pretty bad. I wanted to stop PA from being able to farm, so I went to Doom her, but I doomed her basically max distance, which meant that by the time I was like recovered from the animation and able to walk, she was already like away from me.
Okay.
And it was already kind of a rough lane, so I was really behind, and I feel like that really fucked me over, because that first Doom was an opportunity for me to get back in the game, as well as like my only real ability for the next however long the next Doom takes to come up, to really make pressure on the map.
Yeah, that's fair. That first the first ability usage can be really swingy, but it shouldn't be it typically shouldn't be a make or break situation. Like, oh no, I used Ravage and we didn't get anything, like,
right.
Shouldn't be the end of the world.
It just felt like, with me being so behind, that was a pretty big mistake.
30 seconds.
Okay. Well, to start with, I like the items you're going with. To start, that's good. Got a Nature's Prophet support that gives you a lot of lane pressure. Your team once again has pretty bad initiation, so you're gonna have to do that role. All right.
The battle begins.
I also think it's probably correct to not jump in here and try and contest this rune.
Yeah.
But so this is actually kind of this is funny, right? Because this is like being a little bit idle. Like, you didn't want to contest the rune because it seemed dangerous to you, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But then you walked in after it was gone anyway, and then they get to hit you a lot.
Yeah.
So this can seem minor, but you are going to start the lane with like half your health, or just die. So, all right, you trade out. It's not the worst thing ever. But that type of thing, like, I think it's the way I'm playing the runes is like, I'm either going for it because I'm fairly certain we can just like kill them on the rune, or I'm not bothering at all, and it's kind of one or the other. And if I'm not sure, I'll just sit within vision range of the rune, and I'll wait and see if they pick it up. And if they don't pick it up, I'll go grab it. And that's really the 3 states of bounty runes for me. So that's the first thing I would say there. Be careful with doing what you just did there. Secondly, once you've when you're coming back from these types of deaths, it's usually worth it to like pick up some extra items you know, some extra stats or tangos or salves or whatever the hell coming back to the lane, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming you're just rushing Vanguard here.
Yeah.
All right, let's let this run a little bit. So you were saying your first Doom you didn't feel like was impactful enough. What else? What other things you think didn't go well?
Lane was rough. Basically what kind of happened is, like, I thought we were going to be able to contest better, so I didn't end up going, Midas.
Mm-hmm.
And that ends up kind of being a big mistake because eventually we don't do enough to pressure PA. The Doom, I fuck up the Doom, and then I'm really struggling to farm or make any sort of like pressure on the map. So I think I just kind of I fail to be able to like get back into the game.
Okay. Well, I think not going Midas is not the end of the world. I don't think that's a necessary item. I think it would have been fine here, but I think you're okay not doing it. I think Doom farms decently enough anyway. With Scorched Earth and Devour. Cool. This is also like one of those things where it's like you're playing for the value on Devour, but it's not like, think about it, right? So this is a 60-second cooldown. So every 60 seconds you get 30 gold plus this ability, right? Plus the armor is nice too. But is it worth it to come over here and get 30 gold to lose creeps? Is really what you have to ask yourself.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of this Invis bug. Because look how many creeps you missed doing this, right? So you're like, not only are you not getting last, but you're also not denying these creeps as well.
Right.
Which is kind of important. You missed 3 there. Probably gonna miss this one too. So that movement, just so you know, so that movement, you lost an entire wave of last hits and most of the XP off that too to get 1 Devour. So that's not worth it. So
yeah,
that's not apparent. So that's I would say the first thing maybe. And you know, given that they just nerfed this ability anyway, it might even be worth like not leveling it immediately. Just especially if you feel like you could pressure the lane, like taking Infernal Blade early might help a lot there. Because when I played a Doom game and I wasn't used to the new like level thing, right? So I tried to like eat the range creep and it wouldn't let me do it, and then I got confused and I just ended up not using Devour for a while, and I just felt like, you know, it doesn't really even matter. Like, yeah, Doom or Devour is really good and everything at level like 3. I mean, it gets better after level 1. It's garbage level 1, right? 60 seconds for 1 armor and 30 gold. It's quite crap. Like it might be worth considering skipping it for a while.
Yeah.
Just to pressure your lane more. And I'm not a Doom expert, so you know, like, who the hell knows? But I feel like these 2 spells are much better. And they might help you just win your lane, and that means you get more creeps that way. I don't know.
Yeah, this is the other thing, is it just kind of feels like they out harass us.
They do a little bit, yes, they do.
And obviously, nature just isn't doing any pulls, so it's like really awkward for me to like try and get any gold. Because I just walk up, there's the potential for them to... They have a lot of kill potential. Because I can just walk up, get queued, and then slowed, and then get queued by PA, jumped on.
Yeah, I mean, their kill potential is okay. It's not like PA actually does that much damage to you. It's more just that they have a lot of harass.
Yeah. Well, it's also that if they do jump on me, what does Nature's Prophet do to stop it, you know?
I mean, he just trades damage. Like, actually what he just did, where he sprouts to protect you. Like, it's kind of... This type of a lane is going to be more of a trading hits, harass lane. And then kills should only be happening when someone is getting extra low, right?
Yeah.
And Nature's Prophet is supposed to be good at that. So it should be a fairly even lane, I would say. And you're going for Vanguard, which is correct here. I think, I don't know. I think you might be overestimating how strong these guys are. But one thing I would say is that your Scorched Earths aren't connecting at all. So you're kind of just using it, and then it's
well, that's
like...
the thing is, it feels like that's a lot of, like, you know, like, it feels like kind of like shit to just, like, walk up and hit with Doom. Especially against, like, PA and Lion, where they can kind of, like, interrupt you and slow you and stuff. But at the same time, we don't really have, like, slows or stuns besides... Well, we just don't have... Yeah, we don't have stuns or slows right now. So, I Scorch Earth, they can just walk away from me. There's not really a way for me to, like, get a good Scorched Earth off unless they're already committing.
Right. So that's what I mean, though, is you need to save it for the... Like, if it's not good on its own, then you need to wait for it to be good, right? But also, so the way you can use spells like this... Let me show you an example. It has to be kind of farther away from their tower. Like, so the first thing is, like, you'd prefer the lane to be close to your tower. Like, that's not totally under your control, right? But it's because that's how Doom is going to do his damage, is by, like, chasing people down with Scorched Earth. The lane's been stuck here the whole time. So, the first thing you'd be doing is you just defensive aggro, like, constantly. Just constantly defensive aggro. And then the second thing is, when you see creeps getting low, like, just pretend the lane's not here, right? Like, pretend it's, like, out here. When the creeps are getting low, like your creeps, you can Scorched Earth and chase the PA away. Because nobody really wants to fight you when that's going, because it's just a lot of damage adding up. I mean, level 1, it does 200 damage if you eat the whole thing, right? How much does it do level 2? I don't feel like doing math right now. Where's my calculator? Is this 12 times 35? It does 420 damage level 2. Like, they really don't want to stand in that. So what you can do is wait for creeps to get low, then pop it, and bully them off of it. Because this spell is a super long cooldown. It's like Doom's lane phase is like is only kind of okay because this spell is strong and he has high armor and high damage. He's decently tanky, but like other than that, like Doom is not a very good laner at all. Just sort of the way you're using it there to kind of zone, like that's kind of what you want to do with that in this type of a lane, right? And also another thing to think about is because you don't, if you're going to be playing a lot of Doom, like this is what Doom's kit is. So you can't rely on the 4 to have stuns all the time. That's not a given, right? Because it might be a Skywrath 4 or a Nature's Prophet 4, or like Techie's. Techie's technically does have a stun and a slow, but like it's not like Avenge slow or whatever, you know what I mean? Where it's like repeatable. So that's kind of also why the Infernal Blade can help out a little bit there, going for kills. If that's making sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
25 and 5 right now. I mean, you're 500 net worth behind. It's not the end of the world. I also wouldn't be expecting to like completely stomp this lane either, though. That's kind of why it's okay, you know. Check the Lotus, nice.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Dire structures are fortified.
So is any of that helpful when it comes to like Doom lane phase?
Yeah. I guess, yeah, it's just hard, like I think I'm more used to playing like stronger laners, and so like when it's a situation like this where they like have a really obvious advantage. I don't know. Yeah, it's hard for me to kind of figure out what to do.
I think what you're doing is fine now. I mean, the tower is down. Like, this is it. You just farm till you get your Doom. Oh, I see. You went to Doomer there. I see. Okay. So, I mean, so the really easy way to get a good Doom off is make sure you have a teammate with you.
Yeah.
Have some follow-up there. So in this instance, like, you would want Quap or CM or Nature's Prophet. Like, any of those three would help you get a kill. CM would obviously probably be the best. But that's not even bad. I mean, you doomed her and she had to leave. Like, that's okay. You're farming. But this is something I'd be careful about. So, like, you've used Doom, right? So this is, you need to think of it a little bit like an Enigma or a Tidehunter or whatever. You have this really long ass cooldown, right? So once you use it, your ability to fight is complete crap. Because you have no points in Infernal Blade. But this is even on cooldown because you're using it to, like, just farm, right? You literally have no spells right now. So if you do find anybody, all you're going to do is just click on them for 88 damage.
Yeah.
So if, like, because you use the Doom here, I would just not be showing up to the next fight. Unless it's, like, on my doorstep, you know? Like, Nature's Prophet is dying, like, right here. Like, okay, I'll walk up and click him. Otherwise, I'm not leaving farm to go to a fight when I have literally no spells. Like, that's it. I'm on the bench for a little bit. If you have Doom and you feel like it, you know, if you show up and Doom someone, it results in a kill, that's fine. But because you don't have it right now, you're just kind of dancing around. So do you feel like this is something that happens a lot in your games?
Well, it really depends because, like, there's certain games where it's honestly, what happens is, like, instinctually I know that's what I should be doing, and then I get kind of pressured by other people on my team to be like, why the fuck aren't you at this fight? Why aren't you here? Oh my god, of course Doom doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. Yeah. So I try to show up. Like, that's the thing, is it's like, it feels, Doom feels a little bit extra hard compared to, like, a Tidehunter, because realistically, like, all you have is, like, Scorched Earth and your E if you don't have Doom, whereas, like, Tide can, like, slow, he's got Kraken Shell, so he's, like, tanky, he reduces damage while doing damage, whereas, like, for Doom, like, his kit works really well once you get a good Doom off, but in between those times, I feel like pretty fucking useless.
Yeah, so I would think of this hero more like a Razor or a Bane or a Night Stalker. Like, your job, unlike a Sand King, right? So, like, Sand King's job is to go in there and cause max chaos for everybody, you know? He's stunning everybody, there's sand everywhere, it's all up in everybody's faces, everyone's dying, right? Doom is much more about, like, you in particular, I'm gonna screw your game. Like, I'm showing up and you don't get to use any spells and I'm gonna zone you out of the fight. So Doom is very much like a one-for-one hero. It's like Night Stalker, right? Almost entirely single target until he gets a lot of levels. He just kind of takes down one guy. And if he can do it fast enough, then he gets to move on to the next guy. It's kind of the same thing with Razor, right? Razor links one guy, which is zoning and potentially killing that one guy. Bane ults one dude. So that's kind of the way you need to think about this hero, is like, I'm showing up because I want to kill or shut down this one person, and that's my job. And so the important thing is going to be learning, like, well, who's a good Doom target? Like, you got the kill on the Pudge because he was nearby, but, like, is Doom the best target to be, or Pudge, is he the best target to be dooming, right? Like, maybe not, right? Because he kind of just, like, he has, like, 2 spells. One of them you could prevent with your Infernal Blade anyway. So a better person would be, like, Centaur or PA. Like, mobility heroes are great to doom, like Mirana, PA. Lion has repeatable spells. He can be worth dooming too if you do it early. And that's the other thing too. If someone has casted all their spells, then there's no point in dooming them anymore. Like, that's the point of that spell, is it does damage and it silences you, and that's it, right? So this is very timing. It's very particular on who you cast it on, and your involvement in the fight at all is thus like really particular. Like, I'm showing up to Doom that guy. That might make it easier for you to think about, like, you know, like you see a fight's maybe gonna break out, like just think to yourself, like, well, if I go, can I Doom this person? Is that worthwhile? You know, if I don't think I can even get the Doom off, like, do I even need to like show up? You know, like, let's say they all have blink daggers already or some shit, right? So it's just something to be thinking about. But in these down periods, like, so the biggest thing you can switch about your gameplay here is like not wandering around like this, like hesitating on if you're gonna go fight or not. Like, just to make it easy for yourself, like in your future, like next 5 games you play or something like that, just say, okay, Doom's on cooldown, I'm not fighting.
Yeah, it just also feels like if there's like, he feels very rough to farm with because of the long cooldowns as well.
Yes, he is a little bit slow, and that might be one of the reasons why people go like Midas, I mean, or Radiance or whatever the hell. But like, so this is what? How much damage does this do now? 16 times 65. Let's see how much that does. Okay, your Scorched Earth at level 4 does 1040 damage. So it might be what you're choosing to farm is not good, because I noticed this same thing when I played Doom. I'm like, this feels icky. I don't clear waves like super fast unless I use Scorched Earth, and then that's it. I don't get to like do anything else for the next 30 seconds, right?
Yeah.
You might be wanting to go for stacks more. Like, go look for stacked camps. Go make yourself stacked camps to farm those, because your hero does that pretty well. But other than that, I mean, even if you only use this like every 35 seconds, I mean, that is one creep wave every 30 seconds, right?
Yeah.
More or less. So that's fine too. Just go clear a wave, one off, punch things, devour a creep, clear a stack, clear a wave. This hero is slow. Like, he doesn't play the map quickly, right?
Yeah.
So I'm okay with this. You have Doom, you have Blink, and you're showing in an area, right? Like, this is, well, you'd rather not be showing, but this is fine. You're like ready to do stuff, you know? And I would commit that earlier. Like, as soon as he ults, like, just Doom him, right? That's fine.
Well, I wanted, ideally, I think originally I wanted to do Mirana.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously, like, once Mirana's doomed, she does nothing.
Yeah.
You know, she just dies. But then I realized she runs away, so I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna make sure that we get this fucking pudge.
Yeah, and that's fine. Yeah. That's fine. It's not the highest value target ever, but, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Kill the pudge. That's fine. And now, like, Doom's on cooldown, go farm.
Yeah.
Just go, where is the nearest farm? That's where I'm running. I'm not going towards enemy heroes. Like, here, I would have just run into the top jungle, because you're already in that area. You know, you're not, like, useless in fights, but you really, like, you can tell, you really kind of don't do, like, that much.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's tough. He's not an easy hero to play.
Yeah, and it's, like, especially with, like, the emphasis on fighting in this patch, like, he can obviously make a fight a win instantly. But also, this game feels a lot more skirmishy, and that felt I think that was what kind of felt rough. Is that there's a bunch of little fights constantly happening, and because of that, I have to rely on my teammates like taking good skirmishes and like taking decent fights. And if they're not, then it's like, you know, there's nothing I can really do about it unless I show up. And even if I show up, if I don't have Doom, then there's no point in showing up.
Yeah. Also, the creep that you've eaten makes a big difference too. So you have this Thunderclap right now. That's pretty good. Next best one for fighting is obviously the Centaur, right?
Yeah.
That can change things too. Because like if you have Blink and you have the Stomp, like yeah, you can show up and you can double stun someone, and that's probably fine, right? That does a lot. But yeah, this hero is awkward. But it wouldn't feel as awkward if you were farming more, because then your time spent being useless in fights would be instead spent farming, which means you can turn that into net worth. Like, you know, you can just buy yourself a Shiva's or a Scythe device or whatever the hell you want because you have like tons of money, right? That's the I think one of the reasons why people are playing Doom right now is because it's typically a pain in the ass to actually harass him out of lane because of his high armor and whatnot. And also, even if you do, he just kind of recovers anyway. So it's more that this hero isn't amazing. He's just consistent. You know, that's probably why he's getting picked so much. That would be my guess. Because yeah, Doom isn't amazing. Like I probably would rather have a Sand King on my team than a Doom, even though Doom is like one of the best spells in the game. Like, if it's not available all the time, then I don't really care. I kind of want more high tempo stuff, right? That might be a playstyle thing, but I do also find that like it can be rough to play around like these high cooldown things. Like if your team fight is like Enigma, Doom, Tidehunter or something like that, it's like, we are so good every 2 minutes. Please do not fight us in between that time because we can't do anything. Like, yeah, it's super awkward. And actually, so if you ever have the option, like let's say you get to last pick, I'd say like this, with the comp that you have, Sand King would be a lot better in this comp.
Yeah.
Or a Mars. Mars would be great in this comp, right? You want like tons of CC and initiation because your team is 4 ranged squishies. I mean, not Medusa, but you know what I get. You know what I'm saying, right? So this is better. Doom's gonna work better in teams that already have initiation. Like if you have like an Earth Spirit or something like that on your team, they can go around and do that for you, and then you just focus on getting your good ult off. The problem with these big ultimate offlaners is that they typically like, they need to show up to all these fights, but they also need to not show in the fights so that they can get the good initiation and get the spell where they want it. So they just become awkward to play if the comp is not like built around that in some way, you know?
Yeah.
So just something to be aware of. And so in these types of games, I would just be like farming a lot more to make that easier. You know, go farm yourself a freaking Silver Edge. So it just gets easier. Go farm yourself like Octarine Core. That's part of also the reason why people are going Vanguard first, is because it disassembles into Octarine Core. Like this Vanguard Arcane Boots opening, you have 3 components of Octarine Core already, and then you're turning your 145-second Doom into like a 90-second or 80-second Doom or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I did think about that, because that was like the feeling. I was like, okay, the bad feeling is Doom, it takes long. So I could get an Octarine and make Doom not take long.
Yeah, and that'll make a big difference too.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, I think that's pretty much that's like how I would sum this up, right? I'd be like if I were on your team, if I was a CM right now, I'd be like, Doom, go fight or go farm. What are you doing? Go farm. Like I'd just be telling you, like, go farm up here. I'd make stacks for you, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not gonna do anything.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. That's like, it's such a weird thing sometimes, because like, I think I get caught up in like what the hero is supposed to do when like the fundamental thing for every core is like, you gotta farm.
Yep.
You know, there's not really one person or one character that does not want to farm, you know?
Right.
And
if you don't want to farm, pick Bane, or you just can't, or Disruptor. You literally can't farm. Like, there you go.
So I think I don't know. Yeah, certain times I just get like, I know I'm supposed to be farming, but like with his high cooldowns and stuff like that, it feels like, fuck, I really need to make the most of my Dooms. Like, I think maybe that's where my head was at. I was like, okay, well, like, yeah, you farm, but really, like, when Doom is up, something's gotta happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair, and I think that's something that'll change with experience. So sometimes that will be the case. I had a game I was playing earlier where I was playing Lich, and the enemy team was just snowballing out of control, and I was just like, I was just refusing to cast my ult unless it was on Death Prophet or PL, which were the 2 heroes we couldn't deal with. I'm like, I told my team, I'm like, I'm not casting this unless it's on these 2 guys. because they're the
Yeah.
problem, right? And of course, you know, people got mad at me or whatever. But every time I cast it, we killed those guys, and that gave us space. Sometimes that's going to be the game, but sometimes it doesn't. You know, it doesn't actually matter that much. If you go get a useless doom and don't get a kill, like that one on the PA, like that was not game changing. It was.
Yeah.
This doom here does not throw the game. It's what you did after the doom that's making it hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Right? And it doesn't matter what archetype it is or lane it is. Different heroes have different amounts of greed, right? So a Medusa is a much greedier core than an Ursa or a Slark.
Right.
Doom is a greedier offlane. That's just how it is. For multiple reasons, you know, high cooldown ultimate, effectively random third ability or fourth ability. Like you can't even consistently get the spell you want on this ability. And Devour literally does nothing in fights except give you armor. So you're kind of a 2-spell wonder. It's a greedy one, you know, and then one of them is just farming. Right, so that's just how this hero is. So if the greedy style doesn't work for you, that's fine. But
I think like I don't know. I think obviously farming would have made a big difference. Like just like having a bigger focus on that. Just because it's like I don't know. Like I've had games where I'm playing, you know, Lion or something, and we just get kills, and I get like farmed up because of it, and it's like okay, well. This is an entirely different game than like, you know, a game where I'm just playing normal Lion, you know, like all of a sudden I can do so much, you know, and I think that's just something in general that I need to like kind of focus on, just like, you know, those moments where nothing's going on, it's like those moments are filled with farming. There shouldn't be really a lot of moments of just walking around. The moments of walking around should be filled with farming instead.
Yeah, I would say this is kind of an example of one of those kind of like I mean, I think you're right. It's just like it's low game, go farm more. But that's an example of one of those rotations. Like that's the exact type of rotation like we need to not do, right? Yeah. Like Doom's on cooldown, we show up, we stump someone, and then we have to BKB to leave. It's just like, ugh, feels bad, man, right?
Yeah.
Would have been a lot better and actually would have made an impact too, to like go shove this lane and then force them to respond to this or go get farm, work towards the next item. Because then, you know, at least if you don't have Doom, you're showing up and you're like Shiva's everybody, or you Crimson Guard everybody, or, you know, like you have other things to contribute through your items. And that might be one of the reasons why Doom is so hard for you, is because he's very item dependent. Because, you know, a quarter of his kit is devoted to farming better, right?
Yeah, and at a certain point, I never finished this Shivas.
Yeah.
Just because they get so strong, you know. But maybe had I had that earlier, like that's like, because that's also what I was thinking with the Shivas. It's like, okay, that's one more thing that gives me some utility in a fight, you know? Like now I'm doing some damage, I'm slowing people aren't attacking as fast. Like now if I had that, showing up to some of the fights would have made more sense. Like the playstyle that I was doing, like it still obviously shouldn't have been like that, and I still should have been farming more and showing up to fights less. But if it's like, okay, a skirmish happens near me and I don't have Doom, well maybe it's more worthwhile showing up now because I have something like that, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Well, I think for this replay, unless there's something else specific you want to look at, like I think that's pretty much just the lesson, right?
No, I agree.
Okay. So let's do that then. We don't need to spend a lot of time on it here. Okay. So first question was kind of just like, I don't know, how would you phrase it? What would your questions be for this one?
How should I have played this versus how I played it?
That's a very broad question. Yeah. How should we have played this? And for the week, it was pretty much just a lot of Doom spam, right?
Yeah.
So Doom spam. Anything else for weekly notes on this one? I should have written this down earlier. But that's pretty much it.
No, I think that's just like, you know, it the more I'm playing in like a higher rank, I feel like the more like fundamental stuff is becoming more important. Whereas like I think in lower ranks, like if you just being good at Sand King was enough. You know what I mean? Just being good at a hero was like kind of good enough, like because a lot of people didn't know what they were doing with their heroes and also weren't really fundamentally sound in what they were doing.
Right.
So focusing on like, are you farming? You know, are you pushing this wave? Like, you know, what does your hero want to do and how does that work with your team? And, you know, how do you get the most efficiency out of that? Those things are like just kind of becoming more important the more I climb up.
Yeah, and they'll continue to become more important the farther you go. Like this, like these bigger ideas of like, how do I play the map and like what am I itemizing for and like having objectives to everything you're doing. Like it more and more important the farther you go. So it's cool that you're noticing it for sure. That's definitely good because that's the right takeaway, I think. So how should we have played this? So in between dooms. So when Doom's on cooldown, we just need to farm.
Yeah.
Possibly farm stats for efficiency. And all the while you're farming, you can be thinking about this stuff, right? But it's very simple to just walk to the next camp and farm it. And while you're doing that, you can be like, do I need a Silver Edge? Does my team need a pipe this game? You know, like whatever the hell it is. And who do I want to doom? Like you just be thinking about all this stuff while you're playing this. That's why people get on carry players' asses about making terrible decisions or not itemizing correctly. Because it's like, yo, we just sat around for 40 minutes and you're still not making the right decision. Like how much more time do you need to think about it? Like all you're doing is hitting creeps. People get really frustrated with carries for that. It's like, that's your only job is to think about it and make the right choice.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's also weird because like normally like, you know, I'm in less of that position with the other offlaners that I play.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you know, it's not as important. Like it's important obviously to farm. It's always important to farm, but with more like active abilities being available more often, it's like, okay, well, you can show up to these skirmishes and make a difference. So, you know, being active around the map is rewarded. Whereas with Doom, it's like, no, you have to like really pick and choose. And if you fuck it up, well, then you just got to wait it out, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's pretty much it. I mean, the only other, I think, like, two minor things. So, after bounty runes have spawned, no reason to walk over there. Because that'll happen, right?
Yeah.
Like, you guys did trade kills there, but very easily you don't trade the kill and you just die. So that's a big one to look out for. And then the other one is oh my god, I can't spell it. Disassembling Vanguard and Arcane boots into Octarine Core. So those two things. This one specifically for offlaners and Doom. This one for everybody. So Invis, Shadowblade and Silver Edge also make Doom easier to land. Because you just walk up to them. I'm assuming they don't have detection, right? You just walk up to them and you just cast it. Very simple. Because there is an awkward cast time on the Doom animation where he's like, Doom, you know, right? So that can be awkward. But also, don't forget, with your Aghanim Scepter, you don't even have to target anybody. You can just hit yourself with it. So if that's, once you have an Ag Scepter, you just Doom yourself and blink in right next to him, and then you're fine.
Yeah.
All right. So for homework, I think it would be helpful for you to just keep playing Doom. Even though it's like, doesn't feel right, I think if you can figure it out, it's going to be like a really big like learning step for you. because this is going to allow you to think about these other types of heroes the same way. These long cooldown, greedier heroes. Like, if you can figure this one out, it opens the door a lot.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I think it's like, you know, growth doesn't happen in comfort, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if it's not too uncomfortable, yeah, I keep on the doom.
I'm down for it. I mean, it's still, you know, it's enjoyable to have like such a big ultimate, you know, that kind of, because I think if you look at them at the end, there's like 3 people with Lincolns, you know what I mean?
Oh,
so
really?
it's like, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So it's like,
oh, that's rough.
yeah, it's rough, but at the very least, it's like, okay, well, at least I forced that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good way to think of it. Definitely. Definitely. Well, that's pretty good. So yeah, just keep practicing Doom. Play around with getting the Octarine core off those items. Try Shadow Blade. Just focus on farming more. And I don't know, play different items. But you play enough games with this, you'll start to learn like good lane matchups and like how to easily recover off of them if they're bad.
Yeah.
All right, man. Cool. I hope that was helpful.
No, absolutely.
Thank you for watching. Hope that was helpful. And don't forget to check out the Dota coaching playlist at the end of the video, and check me out on Twitch. I stream every weekday. Schedule right now is like roughly like 2 p.m. PST onwards. And I will see you there. Have a good one.